This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
This is Faith Under Fire. We take you straight to the front lines of religious battlegrounds. I'm your host, news anchor Sarah Harnisch. With me today, Dr. Stanley Bukowski. We're talking New York's Medical Aid in Dying Act. New York is on the cusp of becoming the 13th state to legalize assisted suicide. Governor Kathy Hochul has reached a verbal agreement with the legislature after making amendments to the Medical Aid in Dying Act. Dr. Stanley Bukowski has handled end-of-life care as a physician for over 40 years. Here's his take on doctor-assisted suicide. This is a done deal. The agreements are hammered out between the governor and the legislature. What happens next?
When it's passed, we will continue to try to educate the populace about the dangers of assisted suicide and also the fact that it's not necessary. There's this idea that you can't relieve everyone's pain. And in fact, I have testimonials from doctors whose business it was to relieve patients of pain at the end of life and to give them comfort. This includes 8 different palliative care and hospice doctors, 3 oncologists, and 2 anesthesiologists. They have all given me testimonial in one way or another that they were able to relieve the pain of all their patients over the course of their career. Sometimes, when it was an extreme situation, they had to sedate the patients. It's legitimate to sedate someone even to the point of unconsciousness in order to relieve them of their pain. That makes it unnecessary for them to take their life or for anyone else to take it for them.
2 of Hochul's lines in her statement were, "God is compassionate, so we must be also," and "We're not shortening life, we're shortening death." God is not pro-suicide. Can you speak to her words?
The governor implied that God's compassion extends to helping someone take their own life. That's absolutely not true. And as far as a person taking their own life, God's compassion is that he gives them us, the other people in the world. Our job is to relieve their symptoms, give them emotional and psychological support, and not give them something to help them take their own life. We are forbidden from enabling suicide because that makes us a participant in killing, and we know God forbids that. As far as the appeal to shortening dying and not shortening life, this is a twisting of the language. Everyone who's dying is living those last days. The implication is that those last days are not worth living, that they're meaningless, and that we can throw them away. There is a lot that goes on in the last days to review our lives, to reassess where we've been, to come to acceptance, a chance for reconciliations, which are so important, and finally some closure. So all those things, those are important right up to the last natural day. If you end the life of the person before that last natural day, you're throwing away important days.
Other states and countries have already passed bills like this one. They're a few steps ahead. What are some abuses coming to light with other bills that have already passed? Well,
in Canada, in Netherlands, in Belgium, what has happened is repeated skirting of the restrictions. We are seeing in Netherlands and Belgium not only assisted death for terminal illness, but also for chronic illness. We're seeing it for patients who are actually not able to give consent, such as patients in advanced dementia. We're seeing it in young people who feel that their life has become meaningless. In Canada, again, we're seeing it for non-terminal illness that was legalized in 2019. It's also been proposed for children by Canadian pediatrician groups.
Are there adequate provisions to prevent abuse with the New York bill, or do you think that the Empire State will end up in the same place?
There are 2 main problems. First of all restrictions can be reversed by legislative amendment. And what normally happens is patients who are excluded by the restrictions will make their case that they're suffering intolerably and that they're unable to get treatment, which they say is been legalized. Why are they being denied? And so patients who, for instance, have more than 6 months to live, or patients whose suffering is questionably terminal, whose disease might or might not cause their death. And then the other problem is that the reporting of all these cases is self-report by physicians. We don't know how honest the physicians are being with their reporting. And some examples have come to light, even here in this country. For instance, there was a man named Bruce Newman who wanted assisted suicide in Washington State in 2021 because his wife had qualified for it. He wanted to die with her. His daughter, astoundingly, said she would go to bat and try to get him qualified. And she did get him qualified. It was qualified on the presumption that he could suffer a stroke, which would leave him disabled but would not kill him. And he got his assisted suicide the same day. That was 2021. This never was reported in any of the Washington State official documents or reports. It came to light only because it was published in the popular press in October of 2025. So 4 years later, we find out about an abuse. And when proponents say no doctor's ever been charged for violating these statutes, they're right. There's nothing on the record because it hasn't been detected and it hasn't been prosecuted.
Wow. What can we do in New York State?
We have to educate New Yorkers. We have to help them understand hospice and palliative care are available and effective. When I talked with one of the physicians in Buffalo, who is a leader in the hospice community, Dr. Christopher Kerr, he gave me permission to tell this story. He was sitting at a conference with 6 other palliative care physicians a year or two ago, and they discussed assisted suicide, and they looked at each other and said, "Are you getting requests for death from your patients?" Among them, they had 150 years of practice experience. They could only come up with 5 patients who asked for death. And then I asked Dr. Kerr, did they persist in asking? He said no. Once they were treated, their requests to die went away. We have to let New Yorkers know that care is available. Physical suffering can be relieved. Emotional and psychological suffering can be supported. We need to make it a public issue, and we need to watch the legislature, because when this practice becomes active, and that's scheduled to be 6 months or so from now, we will see patients coming forward to get assisted death because they are in despair that they can get any relief at the end of life. When the legislature hears that, I expect we will see bills submitted reducing restrictions, expanding qualifications in the name of compassion. This is a false compassion. Real compassion is address the issues that are making patients suffer. Don't offer them death instead of real care. The other thing I want to encourage people to do is to get active and to get informed. I can't emphasize strongly enough, please subscribe to the New York Alliance Against Assisted Suicide. It's an umbrella organization which includes multiple other organizations that are also opposing this practice. One is NewYorkFamilies.org. That is a very effective advocacy group that is active in Albany and across New York State, led by Reverend Jason McGuire. When no one speaks up and takes action against these proposals, which claim that death is a solution to something, the broader population accepts them. We can't let that happen. Death is not the answer to anything. What's the answer is support, real medication, real doctor support. Over 5% of deaths in Belgium and Netherlands are by the doctor injecting the patient, and over 5% in Canada, and in Quebec province it's over 7%. It's not in any way an exception. It is now accepted and in fact promoted, and it changes the culture. It becomes a self-expanding practice. That's clearly diabolical.
Learn more at nosuicideny.org.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.